The year is 1980, and Paramount Pictures was riding the wave of its most successful decade with films like The Godfather, Marathon Man, Chinatown, Grease, and of course, Saturday Night Fever. The infamous Robert Evans nearly single-handedly saved Paramount from financial failure and impending sale. So how did the king of Hollywood plan to dominate the 80s? Well, by spending $20 million on an old cartoon property that nobody cared about anymore, starting a relatively unknown stand-up comic and directed by a notoriously expensive and difficult director who never met a schedule or budget he didn't absolutely demolish. This week, we are kicking off our series of cult musicals with Popeye the Movie.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
And joining me are my special guests returning to the show, my favorite movie podcasting couple. I got Scott and Frankie of Shoot the Flick. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
So happy to be back.
I'd say it's going great, except I had to watch Popeye the Movie and Grease 2 back to back.
Yeah, I mean, same here, man.
Yeah.
Do we hate each other? I love you guys.
I don't know.
But...
I love you guys over there, and I feel like you love us, but then you make us watch shit like this.
We were actually joking around because I'd like to keep a list on Letterboxd of all the movies and like the years I will like. Oh, this goes into this year. I'm like, oh, Antonio's made us watch The Apple, Xanadu, and Popeye.
I think the real question is, what is your problem with us? Because this is now the third musical we've watched from 1980 that's terrible.
You assholes made me watch The Wiz and Grease 2.
Okay, fair enough.
I think we liked each other at first because we watched Fantastic Voyage on the old show. We watched Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And then I got to do The Warriors with you. Like, we had a good streak.
Yeah,
I think
that
I'm the
was
one that
fun.
messed it up.
Yeah, I don't know what we did to each other.
We just started off well, and then we decided, you know what? Let's just go in a weird direction.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, erotic thrillers next, okay, guys?
Oh my god. Don't even say that.
It'll be very comfortable to watch movies like, I don't know, 9.5 weeks together and just, we could do a live stream.
Let's just do 50 Shades and get it out of the way.
So I don't know why we got on this kick of musicals, and I really don't care because you guys are great. You guys help me get out of my skin of trying to show a lot of respect to movies and uncover hidden gems. Sometimes I feel a little bit masochistic. I'm like, I need to talk some shit about a movie. And you two are the perfect people that I bring on every time to be like my, I don't know, scapegoat. It's like, I had to talk shit about the movie because I had Scott and Frankie on.
I'm glad we're an excuse for negativity.
East Coasters, that's what I say.
Oh, fine. Just blame it on the East Coast.
Whole East Coast. All of you, negative. All right, so we got to talk about the movie. So first time watch for Frankie, not first time watch for Scott?
No, I caught it randomly on like one of those paid movie channels like 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it must have been like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh, they made a Popeye movie with Robin Williams. And I stayed up and watched the whole thing. And then I was like, immediately it left my brain and I never thought about it again until this past week.
And Frankie.
Yeah, this was horrible. I don't know. I literally was pulling my hair out. It was so bad. It was the worst thing I've ever watched for you.
You're a hard read, right? Because there are some things like, okay, I'm gonna go out and say it. I like this more than Xanadu, and you're like a Xanadu cheerleader. So you're a hard read sometimes.
Hold on, don't put that out there about me. I wouldn't say I'm a cheerleader. I would say that if I had a gun to my head and I had to watch this, Xanadu, or The Apple, I'd watch Xanadu. And if Grease 2 was in there, I'd watch Grease 2 over all of them. Sorry. We're gonna talk about that on our show, and we're probably
That's a
gonna
weird
fight, but
metric.
it's gonna
We'll
be
have to
fine.
save that for your show because I have a completely different order of how I would do that.
I know we're gonna fight about it, but it's fine.
Let's not fight. Let's not fight. We're all friends.
No, not really fighting.
It's bad, but you know where I'm going to go with this towards the end, so I'm going to leave it alone for right now.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this movie is fascinating that it's there, right? That it's a movie, that it exists. And I got to say, the reason why it exists is because of Annie, the musical. You guys
Yes, I
like
did
Annie the
see that.
musical?
I've seen it.
A long time ago. I don't think I've seen Annie in like 20 some odd years.
It's been a while for me. Being a child of the 80s, it was kind of like a perennial, I'm not going to say favorite, a perennial requirement. Like if it was on TV, you just ended up watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where it gets kind of tricky. So Annie was like this concept that all the studios were fighting for in the late 70s. You know, the musical was a hit. Everyone was trying to get the rights. Paramount was just chomping at the bit to get it. And at the end, I think it was Columbia Pictures that got it. Now, Robert Evans, who is just this, otherworldly, just majestic figure of a Hollywood executive. He's got the T-shades, he's got the fake tan, the cigarette holder. He is Hollywood of the 70s. Not to be outdone by Columbia Pictures getting Annie, he immediately goes to all the other executives of Paramount and says, hey, we need a musical to compete with Annie. What do we have? What can we get? Someone mentioned that they had the rights to Popeye. Now, Popeye was kind of done, right? No one really cared about Popeye, but it was free. They had it. So he's like, okay, well, we're going to make Popeye better than Annie.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for.
It's so insane. Okay.
It's insane to me that this movie is like a cocaine-filled dream. Like, it really is.
It really is a fever dream if you watch it. It's ugh.
Fueled by cocaine, funded probably by cocaine. The stories behind it are crazy. We're going to get to that in a second, but that was essentially the genesis of this movie. It got made because Robert Evans was pissed off that someone got little orphan Annie instead of him. It's a kind of like a retribution against the industry. And I'd like to say it was a retribution against film goers too, but this thing, it wasn't a huge hit, but it made its money back, and people are still talking about it. And it pisses me off because my good friends at Doom Generation just did an episode on it last week. And I was like, you sons of bitches, I'm doing this in like 2 weeks. And then I saw another podcast is doing it too. So I don't know what it is about Popeye and the zeitgeist, but the fact that we're still talking about it en masse in 2024, it's interesting, right?
I don't know why. Like, why? What is there to say other than it's terrible? Like, I'm not like, I know that's like a funny thing to say, but like genuinely, like, what value does this movie have in 2024?
It's just like, it's one of those things when you look at the movie, the idea of like Robin Williams playing Popeye and Shelley Duvall, who actually looks like the perfect Olive Oyl.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're like, this could make sense.
I mean, it does seem on paper like a no-brainer, right? For the time, that
Yeah.
seems like perfect casting. Now, before that, though, Robert Evans wanted to put Dustin Hoffman in as Popeye and Lily Tomlin in as Olive Oyl. And then eventually they went to Gilda Radner from Saturday Night Live as Olive Oyl. I can see all of those make sense, except Dustin Hoffman probably would have done like some weird method bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And
'cause
just done
you
like a lot of
mentioned
forearm
Marathon Man, too.
exercises.
It's like, yeah, you're going to come off of that and then do Popeye? Like, okay.
You're going to go spend 5 months in Malta where they built this set because Robert Altman did not want to do a backlot shoot. So they went halfway across the world to a goddamn island off the coast of Sicily and built a whole goddamn city. They built a city. Sweethaven still exists. It's still there. It's a tourist attraction. And not only did they build the set as a city, they built hotels that were functioning for the crew. They built restaurants and mess halls in the sets. Like, they built their own little community. They even bought Harry Nilsson a studio for all of his musicians to record the music for the movie on location. Again, Cocaine the movie.
Oh God, it's honestly listening to some of the stories, like just behind this movie. The behind the scenes of this movie is more interesting than the movie.
It reminds me of like 20 years ago. Terry Gilliam tried to make that movie with Johnny Depp and the Don Quixote, and like so much bad shit happened on the set that they made a documentary about all the things that went wrong, and then that became like a huge popular movie. And then he went and tried to remake the movie again with Adam Driver, and nobody gave a shit because they're like, sorry, your behind the scenes documentary of that first movie just getting terrorized by jets and wind and floods and all that other bullshit was much more entertaining. I would honestly love to see a behind the scenes documentary about this, except it would probably be admissible and people would go to jail.
Well, I think they said Robert Evans before the movie was like completed. Like, I think he got arrested for like buying like $19,000 worth of cocaine.
That's hilarious to me.
And the judge, instead of like sentencing him to
I
jail,
sentence you to Popeye instead.
he sentenced him to make a
Like a
anti-drug
PSA? Oh,
movie.
God.
Drug PSA.
Don't
Yeah.
you love it when they make those celebrities do that? I think they did one for the guy, like some guy from Beverly Hills 90210. I remember had to do that because he got like in a DUI or something.
And we live in a world where Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. I mean,
Yeah.
so here is some cool stuff about what happened before we get into the actual film itself. So
Do we have to?
well, I have so many questions for you and a fun game at the end.
Okay.
So first of all, the idea of how to make this movie better than Annie was just to spend all the monies, right? $20 million back then is equivalent to $80 million now. And they built these sets. They got one of the most expensive, but also one of the craziest and somewhat unreliable directors in Hollywood to make it. I mean, Robert Altman had never turned a movie in on time or on budget, and they picked this guy to do this $20 million production halfway across the world. Robin Williams was still kind of an unknown film-wise, right? This is like his first real movie. He had only been Mork for a couple years. Mostly people knew him from that, so kind of a gamble. But there's lots of people in this cast that are like bigger now than they were then. And I think that's one of the things that this movie has going for it is that the character actors in it are probably the most entertaining part about the movie. Like when it comes to the actors and the performances, that's probably got the least a bit of complaint from me. It's just they don't have a lot to work with. Am I kind of right about that with you guys?
I mean, you're right in that they didn't have a lot to work with.
Right.
That I'll agree.
I don't even know if it's that they didn't have a lot to work with. I think it's just they're just throwing everything at the screen, and you're like, can we just like focus on like one thing?
One thing. Well, because that's Robert Altman's style, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the performances are like shining out in a bad movie. I would just say there's no plot, no one's doing anything, and the performances exist. Like I'm trying to think of like a standout thing that's like, you can hang your hat on this, but like I really can't think of anything.
I mean, I will give them the credit of like trying to make an animated cartoon into a live action film. Hadn't really been done before, right? So essentially the comic book movies that we're seeing today, this is kind of like a precursor to that, but they hadn't really tested the waters yet of like, how do you make this work? So like the costumes are interesting because they make the costumes look like the comic strip or the cartoons. You know, they're baggy clothes. I love how people's shoes have like that big kind of bump at the end, like an old fashioned cartoon. Like I like the creativity behind that. But also we didn't really have references for some of these characters. Like there was maybe 2 or 3 of the characters in the cartoons. Everyone else was from the comic strip. So they're essentially making up this character on set. And how Altman worked in all of his other films is he just built these big ensemble casts. He had a script, but people were encouraged to improvise. They were encouraged to bring reality to the screen. And it feels like he tried to use that same approach with this, but how can you do that when you're dealing with non-existent cartoon characters? It does just kind of seem like a jumbled mess in so many different parts of the movie.
Yeah, and no offense to Robin Williams. We love Robin Williams here, but the man needs at least some leash. Like, he needs some leash.
Restraint.
Yes, just a little bit, because I feel like giving him full range is a scary proposition.
I don't feel like he was really even. I don't think that was the problem, that he was off the leash running wild. I think the problem was it seemed like he was very constrained by the character and like staying in the Popeye box and like staying in the voice, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. And like just, keeping in that tiny little box of what we had of Popeye and trying to stay in there. I felt like he was almost too restrained, that like none of Robin Williams' charm was really able to come out.
Yeah, I get that too, because we are so used to Robin Williams turning any character into Robin Williams, right? His Peter Pan is Robin Williams, his Genie is Robin Williams. And here we are in his very first film where he has to stick to a predetermined character and do his best at it. And he is like kind of a master of impressions, but in small doses. Like his whole shtick is, what if so-and-so was this? And he does an impression and it's like 5 seconds and then he moves on to the next and moves on to the next. He's got to keep this going for 2 fucking hours.
It's not only that, they had to re-record all his dialogue.
Okay.
The voice is rough. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, it all goes back to the inception of like, let's make a movie about Popeye. Like from the beginning, this was doomed because like, how do you even take, there's so many elements of Popeye himself and Olive Oyl and like the whole thing. It's like, how and why do we bring that and put it on screen and make it work for a live action, like visual medium, like film?
Right.
It was hard. I can't imagine how they thought this was going to work out.
So yeah, Robin Williams had to redub all of his lines because he had a hard time with the voice. He had a pipe in his mouth the whole time. And so the mic wasn't catching half of his dialogue. And so literally at the end of the day, they would look at all the dialogue that they didn't capture, and the next day he'd go and dub it in the studio behind and essentially redo all of his lines. So there is this weird kind of like break in reality where there's times where you just hear him doing the Popeye mumble and his little grumbles, which there's some funny lines in there, but they don't match his lips. They don't match the action. It really just kind of sounds like someone doing a weird kind of Popeye commentary over the action. Now, the other problem too is because Altman bought all these people in to build this set in the ocean, they were dealing with sound issues on everything. Waves crashing against rocks, wind, birds. Like, technically, this was like a nightmare to make sound-wise because you built your set in the middle of the ocean on an island. So you're not going to get the comfort of a quiet studio backlot. And so you spend more money now in post. You spend more money on dubbing. You spend more money on audio engineering. Yeah.
It's just, even that is like I can understand why you would want to have like a real backdrop because that's like a cool element to the movie, but technically speaking, it's just a nightmare. So like, why would you? And like you fast forward a decade and go to like the 90s, right? And it's all, rubber backdrops and, fake sets. So like that wouldn't even have been a question if this movie was made a decade later. So yeah, it like sounds nice on paper. Oh, we went to an island in Malta and we, set up this whole little world. But like then, yeah, when you think about it for more than 5 minutes, you're like, oh, yeah, no, this isn't going to work.
So not only that, because they were in their own little world, there was very little to do outside of that world. So the 4 or 5 months that they were there. They were living on that set. They weren't flying home on the weekends. They weren't going to the towns and the local flavor. They were literally living and stuck there for months. So that started wearing down on people. And one of the things that I noticed, especially in like the last 30 minutes, which does seem like 5 hours into the movie, everyone just seems exhausted, right? Like everyone just seems to be phoning it in. There's a scene right at the end when they start doing the Popeye the Sailor Man song for the first time in the movie at the very end, and he's kind of skipping around the water and dancing. He looks so exhausted and half-assing it. He's like, can I please stop doing this Popeye shit?
That whole end sequence, oh my god, you're right, like the last 30 minutes of the movie, the whole movie seems like 5 hours long, but the whole last like half hour when we're doing the climax
Yes.
of the movie, it's like, oh my god, that's when I really wanted to pull my hair out the most, because it feels like forever, and then poor Shelley Duvall's like stuck in a drum or something, just screaming,
Right.
"Oh, Popeye, help me!" over and over again. Like, oh my god, Shelley, please, please stop. And it's just, oh god, it's so awful.
And like, again, listening to other information about this, because like doing deep dives into Popeye is crazy, but like the only reason they filmed this ending is because they ran out of money. Like they finally cut the Altman off and were like, just film the end.
Do the theme song and let's go home.
Film something. It literally, like the end of the movie is just like the other side of the beach where there are no sets built. Like it's literally like the only thing that exists is just this one little side of the island. Yeah, and it does kind of fall apart. Now, here's the other thing too. The music. This is a musical, but is it? Frankie?
No. Oh my god. Okay, so all the songs, let's talk about the songs, because I'm gonna get this is where I'm gonna get like mad. So like,
this is where I was getting excited for you.
Milton has like Grammy awards and shit. I don't know what other songs he's written and won Grammy awards for, but like, my friend, all the songs are the same. They're all slow as hell, and the simplest of lyrics you ever did hear, it's like the same 3 or 4 words over and over and over and over and over again, and then 5 minutes later there's another one, and you're just like, oh my god, like, please stop, just stop. I don't know.
Like Shelley Duvall's first song is literally, he's large.
Oh my god,
and he's
dying.
strong.
I was hysterical laughing. Like,
but he's large.
Stop saying that. Say something else.
And then Paul L. Smith as Bluto. His song is, I'm mean.
Yeah.
And I'm large and I'm mean.
Crazy. They're all, and there's just a song. Okay, the first song, right? The score in the beginning, like the opening credit sequence, it's very like, oh, we're about to start a musical, and you kind of almost trick yourself into thinking this is really a musical. And then they do like this is a town song. It's like the Bonjour song from frickin' Beauty and the Beast. And then they do that, and you're like, okay, that was whatever. It's fine. It exists. And then they did the Popeye introduction song, which is basically the same thing as the first song, just somehow more annoying because Robin Williams' voice thing. And then like the next song right after that is just a song about food. They say the word food like 70 times in a row. It's just a song
Everything
about how they
food.
eat food in this town. I'm like, do people not eat food in other towns? Like, why do we need a song about this? I didn't understand at all.
It seems like the town is sustained on a diet of hamburgers and mutton joints, because that's all they serve at that goddamn restaurant.
I just didn't understand. Why do we need a song that we're not? This isn't Oliver, like, food, glorious food. That's not what this is. Like, why do we need a
Nerd.
song about food that's like 100 years long?
Well, Frankie, if we didn't have all these songs, we wouldn't know that Bluto has a very large penis. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, I think we could infer that by his size.
Right, because he's large.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was dying. And the thing is,
that is kind of creepy.
And like Shelley Duvall, I feel like she could have, in a good movie, been a good Olive Oyl. Like, she's not a singer, obviously, but the cadence she has is fine. if you do like short little snippets. There's one song that she does later in the movie which doesn't make any sense because she talks about how her and Popeye are like split up, sort of, kind of, I don't know. And then she sings a song about how he needs her, but then doesn't go up to him, and like they don't make up at all. So it's just she sings a love song to him, kind of, and then nothing happens. But it goes on for like 7 years. Poor Shelley Duvall's voice was like grating at that point. If you give her a little,
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that's one of the biggest issues with the. I'm not a musical guy per se, but I appreciate a good musical. Right? It's just not my everyday bread and butter. But the problem that I have with some musicals, and I've talked about this in the past, is if the songs don't add to the story, then don't be a musical. You know, right. Disney's got that nailed. They don't just throw songs in willy-nilly. The characters have a song for a reason, and then the big conflict or plot thing has a great big song right in the middle. You know, the Scar song, the Gaston song, like all those perfect moments, right? These songs don't have anything to do with anything. They are literally just peppered through the movie just to be considered a musical, just to compete with Annie. I don't know. Yeah. And like you said, I'm not saying that Harry Nilsson isn't talented. I'm saying like it feels to me like they gave him a weekend and a bag of cocaine and he came with like, how about this? 17 songs he wrote in a week for this movie. 15 of them were filmed and only 11 of them made the final cut. So there's like 6 more Popeye songs that only super fans have listened to.
He wrote
not a weekend, like a week.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that, but like, why would you even bother that? You want to compete with a musical that's been on Broadway, it has huge success, and now it's been made into, and that's what you do. You take some guy, you put him in a room, and say, okay, write some songs, we'll give you the weekend. You don't do that if you're really trying to compete. That doesn't make any sense. It just
goes to show that everyone making this movie was high as fuck because everything sounds great when you're high, right? With all the weed and cocaine going on.
Yeah.
It's like,
he wrote that
song I've ever heard.
He was having the munchies for sure. Because like, what the fuck?
Right.
Why are you writing a song about
17 more of these.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
But yeah, that explains why they all literally sound the same. They all sound the same. None of them are memorable because they're all the same. They have the same 5 words. Like,
I do want to go back. This has to have been the worst year for Shelley Duvall.
Oh, I know. Poor thing.
Oh, God.
Between The Shining and this woman had a horrible year.
And like she said, I think she went on record saying like Popeye was like a cakewalk compared to The Shining, which makes sense if you know anything about the background of The Shining. But like, poor thing, couldn't catch a break.
At least she got to be in a warm climate, I guess, is like the advantage of that.
Yeah, no, yeah. You didn't have what's his name screaming in your face how you suck at life and you are ruining the movie.
There is a lot of chatter about how the original script actually was pretty creative and well written, had a lot of great dialogue. And that's where Robert Altman gets people in trouble because there are a lot of Altman movies I like when they're shot in his style and those films were written for his style. Now, the screenwriter of this movie walked off the set for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, he thought the songs were garbage. He's like, I've written you these great words for these people to say, and you've got these shit songs that have nothing to do with what I've written. Can we change it? Can I help with the lyrics? And Altman and Nilsson are like, no. And then people just start improvising and doing their own dialogue and talking all over each other, typical Altman style. And so then the screenwriter's like, well, all this clever dialogue I've written for these people to say can't be heard because everyone's talking at the same time. Can we do something about this? And Altman's like, no. So he left. So the rest of like the rewrites were all done by Robin Williams and Altman themselves, which if a screenwriter leaves a project and you're all over the place with your budget and your plot's not working anymore and there's cocaine, then yeah, this is what you get.
Oh my gosh.
But I think there is some clever dialogue spoken by some of these characters. Like I think the whole everything's got a tax on the island is funny. I think that's got some chuckles to it. I think that there's a lot of proto Coen brothers dialogue in here, especially with like the father that's always like, you owe me an apology to everything, and repeats that line throughout the movie. I'm like, okay, that kind of reminds me of like what the Coen brothers would do with their witty dialogue.
There was one joke, that got me laughing out loud. And it's the one where Robin Williams is in like the hammock going to sleep or whatever, and he's talking to the picture frame of his father, and then he puts it up and it's just an empty photo.
It's just a piece of cardboard that says Pappy.
And I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
I was laughing
and
at that
they double down that joke later because Poop Deck Pappy, played by Ray Walston, has a picture in his little treasure chest of his son, and it's just a little cardboard thing too. So yeah, there is some cleverness to it. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like it's like a treasure hunt.
I just can't believe that Poop Deck Pappy is Mr. Hand.
Yeah, you
Mr.
tried to figure that out. Like, who is that guy?
He's the original My Favorite Martian. He was in tons of musicals like South Pacific and stuff like that. But he was also the judge in that show Picket Fences back in the 90s. Let's not get into Ray Walston too much. I think that he's one of the better parts of the movie too, although it really feels like they didn't tell him what to do either. They just said, here, put on this costume and just talk like Popeye. And I do think there's a chuckle.
His voice went out at some point. Like, he gave up on the voice, I think, at some point in the movie.
Okay, yeah. There's times where I feel like the people just gave up on their characters. Like, I think Paul L. Smith is great as Bluto, but he's not antagonistic enough. He doesn't really have a motivation that makes a good villain.
No.
Because it seems the only thing that makes him bad, apart from wanting olive oil for himself, is that weird plot in the middle of the movie where Swee'Pea the baby shows up and is somehow a fucking psychic.
Can we talk about the baby?
Let's talk about the baby.
The baby. Okay. I did a little research and realized that like Swee'Pea was in the comics, and like the genesis of that character in the movie is from the comics, where like he's just dropped basically in Popeye's lap and like, this is your baby now. But like, we have to put, who would give this thing a baby? Who would do that? Who? And then it's the baby psychic. Like, okay. I don't understand.
The baby also ends up in a whorehouse, you know?
The baby psychic is being used to play the horsies. And then Bluto kidnaps the baby like, why is Bluto taking the baby? Because he wants to use the psychic powers. I'm like, so I don't. Why? Why did we do that?
We got through the whole movie and like, oh, we need a plot here for the last.
There's no plot in this movie. It's like
an hour and 15 minutes into the movie. They're like,
we need a plot.
We need conflict, guys. It's like, oh yeah. It's like, okay, we need conflict. Someone get more cocaine so we can think of a conflict. Oh, we'll make the baby psychic.
This poor baby. There are times when they zoom in on the baby and the baby looks scared. The baby looks like he's traumatized, like about to start crying. Like, and I can understand, because between like, you know, Shelley Duvall and her getup, Robin Williams with like, it looked like when you zoomed in on his arms. Let's talk about Robin Williams' arms for a second. When you zoomed in on them, you could tell that they were like not real and like rubber or whatever the heck they were. It looked crazy. And then when they're far away, they look just like tumors. Like, do we need to take you to a doctor? Like, it doesn't look right. I understand that's the comic, but like, it doesn't translate to live action film. It looks crazy. The whole thing is so crazy. I need some cocaine. If that's what cocaine produces, I want some. Like,
I mean, maybe that's why the movie was kind of a hit. Is like, okay, everyone that goes to see this movie in the theater has to buy like a dime bag before they go in, and that adds to the.
This did
it
not
did make money.
Oh
it
my
did make
god!
Money.
It's insane that this made money.
This conception is that it was like a giant bomb, and it wasn't.
That's
it was
what I would
actually kind of a hit. When people say it's a bomb, it was a bomb critically. Like, nobody liked this fucking movie except for Siskel and Ebert, who gave it 2 thumbs up. And maybe they had the cocaine too. I don't know. Maybe they got some free for the screening. But the thing is that this came out the year after the first Superman, right? So Superman set this new standard, this new bar of success. It's like, well, if your movie doesn't make like $100 million like Superman did, then go fuck your movie. So even though this movie made all of its money back and then some, because it didn't make Superman money, Paramount considered it a failure, even though it made plenty of money.
I can't believe it made its money back and like made a profit. I can't believe that.
Well, I think at the time when the movie came out, like Altman had just finished like a little bit of a hot streak of his movies, and then like Robert Evans had a really good reputation, so it was kind of like, oh, okay. And
Some people really liked Mork and Mindy, I guess.
and it was kind of just like just enough to make it go like, oh, these all could add up to being something decent if we go and watch it.
Because not for nothing, I don't know how prevalent movie trailers were in 1980, like in advertising for, but like, how would you even make a trailer for this that's comprehensible with
the trailer I watched
and like the nothing plot? Like, how do you do that?
The trailer that I watched, and there's a few different ones, but they just don't have any dialogue. They literally just have a bunch of the shit going on, the action, Robin Williams bouncing around, the narration, maybe him going, you know, and just, okay, this is a Popeye movie, you know? Because seriously, what dialogue in this movie are they going to put in the trailer to grab you, you know?
Right, that's
you know,
what I'm saying. That makes sense then.
There is no, you can't handle the truth kind of line in the movie that they can put in the trailer.
And there's not even like a really like rousing song. Like there's no like pick me up song. Like all the songs are slow. And like half of them are sad. Like most of them are probably sad sounding. But like, yeah, they're all slow and boring. It's just, ugh, God, it's a drag. The whole movie's a drag.
I got to ask you guys, this does have a huge cult following. And it did really, really well on VHS and on cable TV for decades. Yet it can't escape, kind of like the movie Ishtar, it can't escape the reputation of being a terrible film, yet it has a huge cult audience. My question for you is, what are we missing? Like, what are we not seeing that so many people love about this movie? Because I can appreciate all the cool things I like about it, like costumes and the attempt to be a cartoon type movie and some of the performances. But yeah, it doesn't work for me. So what am I missing? And what do you guys think you're missing that other people are, I don't know, drinking the Kool-Aid, eating the spinach?
Well, I think part of it is not only like, I think it's also the time you watch it. Like, again, I don't know when you first saw it, Antonio, but I was in like a teenager when I first saw it. So it's not like a movie I would be like, oh, you know what? That's a movie I connect with.
You think it's like nostalgia goggles?
I think it's a bit nostalgia goggles. Like these people saw this movie when they were, you know, under the age of 10. And they're like, oh, I really liked it. It was a good kids movie. And they're like, yeah, it was fun. You know, Popeye. But like, it's like one of those things like, now people talk about like a movie like The Goonies. Like, if you've watched The Goonies before you were like 12, you love The Goonies. But if you've watched Goonies for the first time after you were 12, you're like, what is this?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like, I would think that people like Antonio can appreciate the performances, namely Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall. I think Shelley particularly did the best she could with the material. I think she is, I mean, if if I could say anyone in this movie was like made to do their role, it's probably Shelley Duvall.
Right, I agree.
So I can co-sign that. I feel like, again, if it was a good movie, she would have been in a better spot with that. So yeah, I guess I can say that for it. I don't know, it's hard. It's really hard to commend this movie for anything.
I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that people who say they like this movie really don't. They're just trying to be cool and edgy. Like, I'm gonna love the thing that everyone hates because I'm fucking cool. because it's so hard for me to look at a person and be like, you like this? Like, are we even friends? Like, I don't talk shit on my podcast about movies. That's why I reserve very special episodes like this to really let my feelings flow. And I think this movie is fucking terrible.
Yeah, I mean, maybe people appreciate kind of like the haphazard, like, like we're just throwing a bunch of shit together and we're making a movie, kids. Like, it's like we're the Muppets over here, just like putting on a show and we're trying to get it together. Maybe that aspect of it is like inspiring to some people. Like anybody can make a movie. Wink. Like then
everyone's so creative.
Anyone can also snort a shit ton of cocaine. So
well, not everyone. You need money.
Well, yeah, true.
There's actually one scene I do really enjoy in the movie, and I don't know why I enjoy it, but during the boxing match that happens, because yes, there's a boxing match that happens in the movie.
What are you gonna say about that?
When Castor Oil,
oh my god,
right?
I can't. Fucking
gets knocked out, and then other boxer like boots him through the air. I'm like
a football.
I'm like, that actually surprisingly looked good.
Okay.
No, I like this. I like where you're going with this because we can kind of help redeem ourselves here. I'll give you 3 things that I really liked in this movie. 3 moments that I was like, damn you, movie. You got me with that one. That's definitely one of those scenes. Him getting booted like a football. The other scene for me that I think really, really works is when Bluto sees Popeye, Olive Oyl, and the baby in the doorway, and he sees red, and they're all dressed in red, and the whole set is red. And I was
I did like that. That
oh,
was cool.
you got me, movie. And then the last part, again, because I like seeing things get punched and flying, is when Popeye gets the spinach strength and punches the fucking octopus, and it flies out of the ocean and over the city and to the other side. Okay,
oh my God,
I enjoyed that.
The part itself where Bluto puts the spinach in his mouth and it literally just like plops into Robin Williams' mouth. I was like, gross looking. I'm like, ew, God, do we have to see it? Just okay.
Okay, so Frankie, Scott and I did our, this kind of work. Did you have any others? Are there any
I said
minor
Shelley
redemptions?
Duvall.
Or did you already say them? Just Shelley Duvall, that's
Don't
it.
make me say anything else nice. I can't do it. I can't.
So fucking salty. Okay. So what I thought we would do with this last portion of the podcast is there was last year a picture of The Rock dressed as Popeye for Halloween.
I remember that.
And some nifty little YouTuber created a fake trailer for The Rock starring as Popeye. And it got people all excited that The Rock was going to make a Popeye movie. It got all over the internet. Like film sites were like, is The Rock really playing Popeye in 2025? It was all bullshit. But it got me thinking. All right, let's make our Popeye movie. Let's do a remake. Let's fix this shit.
Oh no.
Ooh.
I've created a list
Okay.
of a director, a star for Popeye, a star for Olive Oyl, and a star for Bluto. I'm going to give you my candidates, right?
Okay.
And we're all going to go 1 through 10 of what we think the score should be of who should be in this, okay?
Okay.
So, we're going to start with director, right?
Okay.
Number 1 for director of the new Popeye movie is Michael Bay. What do you rate it?
You know what? As crazy as it sounds, because it is insane, I would love to see it.
So funny.
I would love to see the explosions in the back. I would love to see the American flag flying.
No, stop this.
They're going to need a bigger cocaine budget, though.
Oh my God. Okay. No.
I'm at least giving that a 6. Just on
Okay, we got a
pure
6.
insanity.
Frankie.
Like a 4. No.
A 4?
I can't.
Oh, Jesus.
No.
I'm giving that a 9. Like Michael Bay's Popeye to me is exactly what this world needs right now.
My God.
Oh my god, I can just imagine him punching down into
Stop it.
into a torpedo
Yeah,
and then
let's
blowing up.
Put fucking Olive Oyl in a skimpy ass bikini and like have her sitting on a car and like what are we doing?
Know what? I'm actually leaning. Know what? I'm at a 7. I think Antonio's pushed me to a
Yes,
7.
see? Okay.
All right. Okay, so candidate number 2 for director of the Popeye movie, A24's Ari Aster, director of Midsummer and Hereditary.
Okay.
I don't even know how to react to that.
Okay. I'm kind of feeling that though. I'm kind of liking that though.
You'd get like all those
Just picture
weird
Midsummer, but like
I
in
know.
like by the sea.
Sweethaven's just like a fucking cult, right? And every day at dusk they throw an old person off the cliff.
I'm not mad at that.
You know what? They're all in this movie. They're all like freaking.
And then
like, freaks.
Popeye is Florence Pugh. He comes in.
Right.
And it's fucking yeah.
Okay, you're selling
He's had
me,
some
you're selling me.
trauma. He's dealing with some shit.
Yeah. No, I want that. That's cool. I'll do that.
Okay, what's your score then?
I'll give that like an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna give that an 8 too. It's not Michael Bay good, but I liked it.
My God,
Okay, so
Michael Bay.
my third choice for you guys for director of the Popeye movie, Judd Apatow.
Okay,
Yeah,
that could work. That's like straight comedy. Yeah, we can do that.
yeah.
It's kind of like dumb humor, but like that works for this. I think.
yeah,
Right, like
you know what?
college bro humor written by a 55-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Who's just like not quite understanding the relevance of today, but doesn't want to let go of his youth. There'll be a ton of just useless celebrity cameos for no fucking reason.
Also, if that's the case, I feel like either Paul Rudd or Jason Segel have to be Popeye.
Ooh,
Oh my
okay. Well, we're
God.
not there yet, but we'll say that's a wild card casting. But you're kind of right.
Let's say that, Buckaroo. Oh God. All right, I'll give that a 7 just because I like the Ari Aster one more.
Right.
I think the Ari Aster one is more inspired, but I feel like the Judd Apatow one works better.
It's more like cookie cutter, like what you would expect.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll say a 7.
Okay, cool. All right, we're moving on to actors now. So, candidate number 1 for the role of Popeye is Zac Efron.
Yes. Oh
I
my
knew
God,
you'd like
we're
that
all
one.
in this together.
He's got the body right now
Yes.
after the
That's
Iron
a
Claw.
10 out of 10 for me, bro. Bro, he doesn't even have to change his like physique from Iron Claw. He can just keep that shit.
Oh,
Scotty.
God. You know what? He's fine. I'll say 7.
7. Okay. I'm in with Scotty. I'm going to give that a solid 7. It could be surprising. Zac Efron surprises me. Every time I want to hate that guy, he does something. I'm like,
I know,
God damn
right?
it. He's pretty good in that.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2. This is for Scotty and me. Number 2 candidate, Jason Statham.
Yes. Oh my God. It's just Popeye having a British accent and then suddenly
I'm just trying to picture the voice of that. That's crazy.
accent
like this.
That's crazy.
I kind of love it. He would not do it though, but I would love it.
None of them would do it.
Yeah.
No one's doing this.
We're not
No one's
funding
touching
this.
this shit
I don't
with a
have
10-foot
cocaine
pole.
money, Scotty.
Yeah, cocaine money. Yeah, sorry, I forgot we had cocaine money.
Oh my God. I'll give that like a 7. That's a pretty solid, crazy choice.
You know what? I'm giving that a 9. I love it.
Fuck yeah, I'm giving that a 10. Now, guys, not to get controversial, but you need diversity these days, right?
Oh no! Oh my God!
You need
Okay, I'm
you
scared.
need diversity. You need to have just a little bit of a change to the narrative to please everybody, but also, be daring with your casting. So number 3 on my list is Camille Nanjiani.
God, no, no.
He's gotten ripped. He got all bulked up
Stop,
for the Eternals.
Male non-Johnny.
I might actually cry.
Oh God. I'm just like picturing it in my mind's eye. I can't. That's insane.
I'll start. I'm giving that an 8 because for diversity cast, you could do a lot worse.
Oh, okay. Jesus.
It's, you know what? If I hadn't seen the movie Lovebirds,
I love Lovebirds.
Oh my god, really? It's such a dull
Yeah.
movie. Oh my god. I'll give it a 6 just because
I'll go 6 too.
All right.
That's
Sorry,
so
Camille. You had my vote. All right. So for Olive Oyl, I went a little bit more aesthetically with this list. Okay. So number 1, because I think she wants to come back to Hollywood after retiring for a while, Cameron Diaz.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. If we did Judd Apatow, I feel like Cameron Diaz would work.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a little cookie cutter. It feels like, but I'll go 8.
Like on the nose, but you got to have some on the nose candidates, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. I'll go 7. I want to see what else you got.
Yeah. I'll feel 7 too. What about you, Scotty?
Yeah, I'll go 8. I think Cameron Diaz would nail this.
Okay, cool. I like it. Higher than I thought. Number 2, to get the younger crowd in,
Mhm.
Margaret Qualley from Once Upon a Time in
Okay.
Hollywood.
Yeah. I like that. She's the girl. Oh God. The girl from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, yes.
Who's got her feet on the dash.
Yes, okay.
And
there
wants
we
to
go.
bang Brad Pitt.
Andy
Yes.
McDowell's daughter.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now I got a picture to my name. Yeah, she's good. Yeah, she would be pretty good.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. That's
I'll
a
give
9
that
for
like
me.
like a 9, especially if you have Zac Efron and the
Oh,
I'll give that like a 9.
because then you'll have the heat, but also like the funny, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll stick with an 8 on that one too. I like that one too.
9, 9, and 8. Okay. And then the last one, kind of the wild card casting for all the dangerous folk out there. Kristen Ritter from Breaking Bad and Jessica Jones.
Oh
Yes. 10.
I like
10,
that too.
10.
All right, calm down. Calm down.
Scotty's enthusiasm convinced me. I'm saying 10 as well.
I like Margaret Qualley a little bit more, so I'll say, what did I say for Margaret? I said 9 for her.
Give her
so
a
I'll
9.
say 8 for Kristen Ritter.
Give her an 8. All right, sounds good. And then finally, the villain. What film can be a film without a good villain? So our number 1 Bluto candidate, Dave Bautista.
Oh, Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I would love Dave Bautista in it.
He'd have fun with it.
He would have fun with it. My fear is it would be too much like Spectre.
Ooh,
But
maybe.
no one likes Spectre anyway.
that's
This will be fun.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
Like, Bluto's. I don't know if Bluto would be like fun for him to do.
But fucking James Bond, that was serious. This is fun. We're being fun, Scott.
Okay,
We're
fine,
being fun. We're having fun here, Scotty.
Sorry,
We're on
sorry,
cocaine,
Scotty.
right?
Sorry. I love Dave Bautista. He's an 8 at least. But
Yeah, I like him a lot. I'd say 8 for that for sure.
You got an 8 as well. Okay. Yeah, I like Dave Bautista, but maybe it's 2 on the nose, so I'm gonna give that one a 7. Still pretty decent score.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2 on the list, Jack Black.
I knew that was coming. That's
I
like
had a feeling you thought he'd be somewhere on this list.
yeah, that's like a 9 or a 10, no?
yeah, but it's I could go 10 for Jack
I'll go
Black.
10 because it's Jack Black.
Plus you get a
Right,
6
and
song.
I love Jack Black. All right, I'm giving that one a
Yeah,
9.
you'll actually have like a real songwriter in there that can like
right. Oh,
give us some dope
good
songs.
point. Good point. Okay, and so for the last candidate, because I think it'd be cool if we could really test the acting chops of one of the people who've already been on this list to see if they can play both the hero and the villain, Zac Efron.
That'd be funny. That'd be really funny.
He just pulls a Ryan Reynolds in
He just
in that movie in fucking Deadpool 2. He's Juggernaut and Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll do like a 7 for that or an 8. Like that's fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
It'd be because at this point, this movie's gonna be such a shit show anyway. It's like let's just make it even fucking crazier. So yeah,
Let's just
I'll
get
do
crazy.
Like a 7.
Let's get
but
nuts.
just sit there and imagine, just for a second. You have Zac Efron as Popeye, and you have Jack Black as Bluto, and they have to sing a duet.
I know that's
it
really
comes
Ooh.
together.
Oh my
Ooh.
god, Scott, you're killing me right now.
I just got
That's what I want
chills.
so bad.
I just got chills.
I actually want that more than anything. That's
I want
so
that more than
cool.
anything too, so I'm gonna put 2 for Zac Efron. I thought it was being clever of being like all avant-garde, like he can play both the hero and the villain. But
Well, if it's A24, then
it's true. It's true. Okay, are we ready for the final score?
Yes.
Yes.
So, the Popeye remake, directed by Ari Aster,
This is so crazy.
starring Zac Efron as Popeye, Kristen Ritter as Olive Oyl, and Jack Black as Bluto, coming to theaters in 2025.
I
If
actually
the world
love
still exists.
I really love that though.
Oh God.
I would go see that, which is really sad. After I talk so much crap about this movie, but I would watch that for sure.
It's just crazy enough where I think I would love to see Jack Black in an Ari Aster movie. I don't know how that would work, but for some reason I love that imagery.
We could figure it out.
We could figure it out. It could be this movie, right? Now, the one thing that I did not put on here because I didn't really think about it, who's doing the music? Like, what should the songs be? I'm not really sure of who's just
Jack Black's just gonna
literally
write
Jack
another
Black,
album for
Tenacious D,
D.
doing the songs for the Popeye movie, directed by Ari Aster.
And then Jack Black finally gets his song Oscar nomination.
Thank God.
There we go.
Scott was so
Yeah.
mad that Peaches got robbed.
That Peaches got robbed.
It was a sad day in the Eisenberg house.
Yes.
All we need is $80 million and a shit ton of cocaine, and we can make this happen.
That was fun. I felt very powerful. I felt like a movie executive. I'm like, yes, we're gonna do this.
And
It's gonna be dope.
and not only that, you can also have Kyle Gass play the guy who
Oh,
wants the
yeah.
burger.
Wimpy.
Oh yeah, the hamburger guy.
Right. He's like, I'll gladly pay you on Tuesday for hamburger today.
They said that so many times. I was like, that has to be something in the comic.
Yes,
or something.
it-
Okay.
it's-
Oh, it is.
I was like,
It is.
Jesus, they keep saying that in the food song that shouldn't exist. I was like very confused.
So I think it's safe to say that we don't like the Popeye movie, and there's lots of people that do, and you can like what you like. And I really just wanted to take this opportunity of this episode with you guys to be able to let my grumpy old man flag fly and say, I don't like Popeye, and that's okay.
Like we're in a support group.
We are. My name's Antonio.
My name's Antonio, and I don't like Popeye.
Oh my god.
Hi,
Antonio.
Antonio.
my
Oh,
God.
boy.
That's great.
Well, guys, you are just still steam trailing ahead with your podcast. What have you got coming up? You just did, what did you just do? Perks of Being a Wallflower?
What did we just do? Yes, we just did Perks of Being a Wallflower. We got some more coming down the pike, including our episode coming up with Antonio reviewing Grease 2.
If you thought this episode
We're
was
gonna
nuts.
fight, but it's gonna be great and it's gonna be funny because for some reason Antonio likes this movie better than Grease 2, which I don't
really
get
do.
it, man. I don't.
But Scotty,
understand you.
don't. You shut your mouth. We need to save it for your episode. We
Yeah,
can't give
save it
away
for-
the
save it
ending.
for- This is a little
No
tease of what's
spoilers.
to come on our show, okay? So yeah, feel free to check us out. Shoot the Flick. We usually have an episode every Wednesday, wherever pods are casted.
Indeed.
Indeed. And you can find the links to your guys' stuff on the episode notes of this episode and on my website, thecultworthy.com, under the Cultworthy Partners section. And guys, this has been great. Like, I'm on my 3rd year of this pod, and I've had you guys on like every year. It's been great. So if you enjoyed this episode, go back into the catalog, listen to the other ones. The Apple versus Xanadu was probably one of my favorite episodes of 2023.
That was so fun.
It was so much fun. I wanted to copy that formula again and do like Popeye versus something, but I knew that we were going to spend so much time on Popeye. I'm like, no, it's just got to be.
This deserves its own special moment.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.